And go. Hello, everybody. I don't know if that was close or not. It kind of hiccuped there, but welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today will be our very first college basketball episode of the season. We'll be doing college basketball picks. Now, this will work very similarly to how we do college football. It'll essentially just be that we do 20 games a week, maybe more, depending on how many great games there are. This week, there's really not much because it's opening week. And it's also a shorter week, too. But little twist, little difference here is we're gonna just do this day by day. Now, kind of order like how good the games are day by day, because to try and like order it by how good the actual games are, you might have like two teams playing straight in a row. So like you'll have like maybe you'll have two West Virginia teams games playing directly next to each other, and it's like that'd be way too confusing. So we're just doing it day by day, make it simpler. Anyways, we'll get this one started. We don't have Calvin or Jacob for this episode. Unfortunately, neither were available, but you have still both me and Sam. Tomorrow we'll be recording for NCAA football picks. Last one did not get out, unfortunately, due to some mic issues with Jacob's mic, so none of his audio actually came out. We never got around to actually re-recording the video, so apologize for not having that video out. But the NFL video is out with me and Sam. Anyways, that's all I have really to say. Let's get into this video, and we start with Oakland on the road against West Virginia. Now, I just put this in here because, well, we are from Michigan. Oakland is from Michigan. We all like Oakland, but I think it's pretty obvious that West Virginia will surely wipe out Oakland. I mean, this is college basketball. Anything's possible, but I think in all likelihood we'll see the Mountaineers manhandle the Grizzlies in this one. Sam, I turn it over to you.
West Virginia, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. Love watching Oakland play. Always rooting for them to win the Horizon League every year in the tournament. I don't know if it hasn't happened in quite a while, but I recall going to an Oakland game against Wright State back in 8th grade, and Oakland beat them pretty handily. But when it comes to playing teams that are in the Power 5, it's pretty much a given that the Power 5 it has a 95% chance at least to win. So I'm going to give the edge to West Virginia in this one.
All right, and now we have Navy on the road against Virginia. Navy can be a pesky team in football. This is not football. This is basketball. Virginia, however, is one of the more annoying college basketball teams, always having a top-tier defense. Tony Bennett's team will have more of the same this year. As much as it is Navy, they're not going to put up much of a fight with UVA. I have the Cavaliers winning this one handily. It'll probably be just low scoring like every other Virginia game is, but, I have Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much like you said it. Virginia is a very defensive-minded team. Navy not really known for doing much in basketball. The horses are definitely more known for football than basketball.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. And I think Virginia will get a pretty handily win. Probably get 50-something, and the Navy will have like 30-something.
That sounds about right, knowing Virginia games. And next, we have the two State Farm Champions Classic games, which will be on opening night. Those are games you do not want to miss. But we start with the first one, which will be before the college football playoff rankings, which will happen in between the two games. Can't wait for those to come out. You can see my enthusiasm. Committee. But first game is Kansas, or not? It's not on the road because this is a neutral site game. But we have Kansas and Michigan State. The Spartans have a solid team. They always have a solid team. This is obviously Michigan State, well known for basketball. They always have a solid team. Kansas, they have a great team, of course, as well. The Blue Bloods always known for their basketball, as you can see what the next game is. But I would definitely say that I have, I'll take Kansas in this one. Michigan State has a solid team. I think they'll put up a fight for sure with the Jayhawks, but my pick to win this one is a Spartan, or I'm sorry, is the Jayhawks.
Yeah. What surprised me, and I think, I don't know if we talked about it. Yeah, we did talk about it at the beginning of these rankings, was Michigan State was not ranked. That was a surprise to us, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is being played at Madison Square Garden. Great. I don't know. Spike Lee probably won't be there, but it's played at Madison Square Garden. And big lights, big prime time game, 6 p.m. Well, actually, 6 p.m. Central Time. This is going to be, I think it'll be close. Michigan State will hang around. They usually do pretty well at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to hand this one over to Michigan State.
Ah, Sam going with the upset. All right. And our next one is going to be the other State Farm Champions Classic game after the playoff rankings, which will be the Kentucky Wildcats I keep saying on the road. This is a neutral site game. Number 10 Kentucky and number 9 Duke. Kentucky was a major league disappointment last season. Many people were surprised to see really how pitiful they were. They were not good last season. Really struggled. Missed the tournament, of course. Duke, more the same. I mean, they really mightily struggled too. How good these two actually are, I don't really know. I'm sure they have like a billion one and dones probably again this year. And I know Kentucky has some decent transfers. I honestly don't really know much about either one of these teams, but I'll take Duke. I think Duke has a better team, especially with this being Coach K's last season. I think Duke's giving their all in every single game, trying to end on a high note for Coach K. And yeah, I'll take the Blue Devils to win this one. Also, side note, we are doing this Monday night, so the Bears and the Steelers are still currently playing. It's a 3-point game for the Steelers late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is Coach K's farewell season, as pointed out, I believe, in the rankings as well. And yeah, I don't know too much about these two teams. I know they're always up there in the rankings at the beginning of the year. Both major disappointments last year. Looking to rebound. Duke has more energy. Duke has more to play for. And I think Duke gets it done first game.
All right, and next up is the only Wednesday game we have on the slate this week, and it's our very own Michigan Wolverines, the Buffalo Bulls, I believe. Buffalo Bulls on the road against number 6 Michigan. Buffalo, one of the better teams, honestly, actually in the MAC. They've had a couple decent years in the tournament. They've pulled off some upsets. So Buffalo, not exactly a bad team necessarily, but going up against a Wolverine team, it's a mismatch. Buffalo's not bad for sure. They're a decent team, but Michigan compared to Buffalo's not even a comparison. I mean, the Wolverines for an easy opening day win for the Wolverines.
Hello? You can hear me, Mitchell?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Last year, Buffalo made it to the NIT, so they don't have a bad squad. They were 16-9 as well. So Buffalo not a bad team. I can see what this Michigan team can do. Obviously, me and Mitchell are excited to go on that Michigan-Purdue game. This season strong. I think Michigan has to make statements early, and I think they will make a statement early against this Buffalo Bulls team. Big win for Michigan coming up here on Wednesday.
All right, and our next one will start what will be a long streak of Friday games, and we start with the Duke Veterans Day weekend showcase with Army against Duke. This is part of a early season tournament, which there's obviously some really big early season tournaments to be happening later in the year. Obviously, to pick those games would be kind of interesting because then the other games would happen. So we might actually pick some of those early season tournaments just for fun, just to see if we can predict what actually happens in those mid-season tournament or early season tournaments, just for fun. Anyways, Army on the road against Duke. We have Duke once again. Another armed force that really is not that well known for basketball. They did have one good year where they had Taco Fall and nearly took down the Duke Blue Devils with Zion and R.J. Barrett and uh,
No. You're thinking of UCF, Mitchell.
oh, whoops. Yep, I am. Thanks for correcting me there, Sam. That is not Army. Correction. That was UCF with Taco Fall. Anyways, Army, they're going to get blown out by Duke. This is not a team well known for basketball. Duke should win this one pretty handily. Don't know why I brain farted on that one.
Yeah, should be a pretty well handled game by Duke, unless they let emotions get the better of them. You're playing against armed forces. Typically, it's going to be a win for you. Just like when you're playing other group of five teams or just teams that are not in the Power Five, it typically is not too difficult. So I give the win to Duke.
All right, and we have our second appearance this week from the Oakland Grizzlies. We'll be taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are sorely disappointed, obviously, that they have been banned from the postseason tournament this year. They're able to hold it off a year after an appeal, which allowed Cade Cunningham to participate in the NCAA tournament until they got upset by a rolling Oregon State team, which couldn't lose apparently. But this Oklahoma State team, they're solid. I don't know what they'll be like this season. Obviously, I think the fact that they won't get a chance to play in the postseason is really going to take an effect on the Cowboys. But it's not going to make a difference against Oakland, but definitely something to watch down the road because I think this Oklahoma State team is going to be very hurt by the fact they're not going to have a chance to be in the tournament later on this year.
Yeah, Oakland's schedule at the end of the year is pretty stacked. You got West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Alabama, and Toledo there, but that's bam for 10 days, and 3 out of 4 of those are on the road. I don't know. I really just can't pick Oakland this year. I gotta go with Oklahoma State. Just picking the safe route, pretty much. Going with Oklahoma State. I would like to pick Oakland. I love their team. I'm going with Oklahoma State.
All right, and now we go to the next one, which is the Oregon or is SMU on the road against Oregon. SMU, I mean, they're okay. I get. No, I don't really know much about their basketball team. I will be honest. I don't know much about the SMU Mustangs and their capabilities in the basketball category. I think they had like a decent team a couple years ago, and they're like an 11th seed maybe, or in the play-in game. I'm not for certain. Sounds kind of familiar, but SMU's teams are okay. Oregon's got a really good team this year, so SMU maybe makes the game, but more likely than not, Oregon wins this one fairly handily.
Yeah, Oregon's going to be the other team to watch out for in the Pac-12. Obviously, besides UCLA, Oregon's starting off the year with, I believe they're starting off the year with Texas A&M at home, and then they got SMU, and they got BYU. terribly easy schedule, so I think that's a good start. Having some upper level teams starting with the what we consider
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
some tougher teams before they get into backdoor play, um, and they should have a pretty handle win against SMU.
All right, and our next one will be Michigan State in its second game at home against Western Michigan. This should be a pretty easy win for the Spartans. I don't see why they'd lose to the Broncos. As you can tell, there's not really a whole lot of big games to start off this year, so I've thrown in basically as good of games as I can find. These are really the best I saw, but I mean, it could be interesting. Western Michigan doesn't necessarily have a horrible team, but this should be an easy win for the Spartans.
Yeah, you look at all these teams that the Big Ten is playing on this Friday. Such funny names that I look at. I see Ohio State is playing Niagara. They're playing Niagara Falls, and then you got Wisconsin is playing Green Bay. So they
Go
playing Aaron
figure.
Rodgers. I don't know. Northwestern is playing High Point. I don't even know where that's located. And Iowa's playing Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And then Purdue's going to play Larry Bird's resurgence on Indiana State. Oh my gosh. Some of these teams, they crack me up. But for the Western Michigan State team, we both know those teams. We know that Michigan State's got a good team. They always have a good team. Western Michigan always competes in the MAC. But I will give it to Michigan State as well. But it's so funny looking at some of these teams that you play in the early season before you get to first play.
Well, you were speaking of Big Ten teams. Here's another one for you. In the Kemper Asheville Championship, the Western Kentucky against Minnesota. This is a neutral site game, and don't really know much about Western Kentucky. Minnesota, new head coach this year, or is it their second year? I think it's a new head coach this year. I believe this is their first year, because I believe Richard Pitino just got fired this year. If I'm right on that, I think I'm right on that. Anyways, I'm gonna take the Gophers. I think they can win this one. It should be an interesting game, honestly, but I will go with Minnesota to win this one against Western Kentucky.
This is a neutral site game, actually. It's in North Carolina. I'm not, and actually, Mitchell, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. I'm just waiting for your stop because it's extremely choppy for me.
Hmm.
So I'm sorry, I'm repeating stuff that you're saying, but I'm just letting you know that now. For this Minnesota Western Kentucky game, it's at a neutral site. It's going to be in North Carolina. Interestingly enough, without I know that they still do have Curry. He is going to be a deadly threat in the post for Minnesota. Or I don't know if he's in the post for it though. I know he's going to be a deadly threat. I know Eric Curry is a good player, and Minnesota's going to get it done against Western Kentucky.
All right, and that's also part of a early season tournament. If you couldn't have figured that one out already from the Kemper Asheville Championship title. Anyways, now we have the Veterans Classic of Virginia Tech on the road against Navy. This is our second appearance for Navy now. And I don't think it really changes. I don't care if it's at Navy, honestly. Virginia Tech is a very offensively minded team. This team puts up a good amount of points. They have solid teams for basketball. I think this is going to be more the same. I think VT wins at Navy.
Yeah, Navy's got couple teams from start off the year.
Yeah.
They're not playing too far from home, and in Annapolis, I believe that's where Navy is. They're in Annapolis, they're in Maryland. Um, So they're not straying off too far from home. Yeah, Virginia Tech should be a competitive game, but like Virginia Tech, almost the complete opposite of Virginia. Um, and they got Buzz, Buzz Aldrin, I'm not sure, but they got Buzz at the helm for Virginia Tech. So watch out for Buzz Lightyear over there at Virginia Tech. They could be a sneaky team to watch out for when it comes ACC play time, or for conference play in the ACC. They'll start off with a win against Navy for sure.
All right, Friday is the big day I think for this week. I mean, there's a couple decent games on Saturday and there's one on Sunday, but this is really the big day of this week, and you'll see why. As our next one now is Oregon State on the road against Iowa State. Now here's a competitive game. This should be, honestly, I think, very fun. Iowa State, obviously, this is a team that is almost always a great basketball team. This team almost always has great years. Last year, really struggled and couldn't really do much of anything. Oregon State was bad too, and then they had their miraculous run, winning the Pac-12 tournament, and then going all the way to the Elite Eight and just falling short to Houston in the Elite Eight, who got swamped by Baylor. So, what time are we going home tonight, guys? But now we have Oregon State on the road against Iowa State. This should be honestly very fun. Um, I don't really know what Oregon State has this year. I'm gonna take Iowa State at home. I mean, this is a complete coin flip. Iowa State has been down in basketball for a couple years now. Oregon State, I don't see them having that miraculous run again this year. So I'll take Iowa State at home in a close one.
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect out of Oregon State this year. They can keep up that. I'm guessing that was just a hot streak at the end. They just went on a tear against the Pac-12, which the Pac-12 is not historically good in basketball. But Oregon State went on a tear, and they got into the tournament. And they just kept going. Dude, I don't really know if they have it in them to keep going, but I know that is a Chicago touchdown. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we're going with Iowa State as the home team. Maybe for a bounce back year, and I think they got it, and I think they're probably going to get back to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the Steelers trying to give it away to the Bears. What's going on? You're really giving up 27 right, or nearly 27 right now to the Bear offense. Come on. Anyways, we go to the next game, which is the Pittsburgh Panthers on the road against the West Virginia Mountaineers. Second appearance for West Virginia. This should be another competitive game. Pitt has a solid team. West Virginia obviously has a really good team too. West Virginia will likely be coming off a wipeout of Oakland. This should be a fun game. I think the Pitt Panthers will make this one competitive, but I think West Virginia just has enough to edge the Panthers and win what will be probably another close game. I think the Mountaineers come out just victorious.
Yeah, Pittsburgh and West.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh on the road, only because I just have such a disdain for the parties to suggest that we get rid of the NCAA tournament, get rid of March Madness, get rid of what March is all about in the sports world, just be done with it and have conference tournaments. Is it that fun? Like, oh man, it just makes me so angry that he would want to do that and take away, what is it? I think it's 16 games first day, 16 games second day, 8 games, 8 games. It's just such a fun time for sports fans. for sure that first weekend, and then the rest of the other weekends, you get the excitement, the ante, everything. It's just for him to mention that. I think the Mountaineers deserve to have a losing success.
Well, I mean, honestly, me personally being born in the month of March, March Madness is by far my favorite sports event. I mean, I watch it every single season. I don't miss it. I love watching it. It's so much fun. I mean, as much as I love college football, as much as I love the NFL, and I mean, I keep losing interest in the NBA, but as much as I watch the NBA, as much as I like MLB baseball, nothing beats college basketball. Or college basketball March Madness. Nothing beats it. It's one of a kind. It's a one of a kind experience, one of a kind thing to watch. It's so much stinking fun. But we move on to the next game, which is another really competitive one. San Diego State on the road against BYU. The Aztecs will actually have Michigan later on in the year, but this is a really competitive game right here. BYU, I always said was over. I always thought was overrated last season. I was not high on BYU. They got to the sixth seed, and I'm like, there's no way they beat whoever wins between UCLA, Michigan State. I immediately picked that for an upset. Well, guess what happened? I mean, UCLA went to the obviously UCLA went to the Final Four, but I mean that's beside the point. Which we'll talk about them in the next one. But BYU has a solid team. They're a solid overall team. San Diego State, of course, they had that during the COVID season. They had an incredible year. We're going to be a number one seed before the tournament was canceled. This team is still solid overall. I think this is going to be a really fun game. I think the Aztecs are going to win by like one possession. It's going to be down to the wire, very close game. Expect a war down in Provo, Utah. Over in Provo, Utah.
Oh yeah, this should be a really good game. Recall also San Diego State had that year stolen from them, and Dayton had that year stolen from them. That was an incredible team before COVID hit back in March 2019. Dayton was getting ready to have at least they were going to have a really high seed return.
One. They probably would have had a one seed.
Exactly. And then we saw last year. I don't think they made it to the tournament.
No,
you can see how much changes in the year. See how much changes in the year. But this should be a good game. San Diego State and Mountain West. I always feel like that BYU should just be in the Mountain West. I don't know if they have or why they haven't joined yet, but they're in Utah. They're over in that area. They should just join the Mountain West. Make themselves in one of the group of five and just get back. Should be a fun game. I'm gonna go with the home team though. BYU's got just a tad advantage there. Just a tad. Another flag. The offsides again.
But BYU, they used to actually be in the Mountain West, and then I believe they moved to just be FBS Independent, and of course now they will be joining the Big 12 with Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. So that is the movement of the.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, Texas, Oklahoma just created a giant overhaul of the entire NCAA. But speaking of really good games in the Pac-12 and UCLA, here's was probably the best game this week. It'll be pretty close with another one later on, but we have Villanova, number 4 in the country, on the road against number 2 UCLA. This is a big time matchup. This is an 11:30 game at night, of course. 11:30 at night on Friday night. I actually will be off of work by this point, so I'm so happy that I get to get home and watch this entire game. I will be staying up for it. Yeah, it's dumb, but I will be staying up for it. This is a big time early season. No, it won't be it. I'm telling you right now, this will not be a blowout. Villanova has an incredible team. UCLA, they obviously had that miraculous run. They still have Johnny Juzang, and they also still have uh, God, what's his name? The why do I forget his name? But he's a really good player too. I believe he's a small forward. God, I can't remember his name. Why? But
I'll find.
thank you, Sam. But this is going to be a really good one. UCLA in their home on their home court against Villanova. Very fun one. You know, after seeing I think UCLA has enough to win this one. I think this will be very close, but I think UCLA just pulls it off against Villanova, wins a very, very close game at home against the Wildcats.
Jules Bernard.
No, I'll find it. Go ahead, make your pick.
It, Jack Jack is Jr.
I'll take care of it, Sam. Go ahead.
I don't think he's here. I don't think the guy that you're talking about is here.
No, he is.
Anyway.
This guy.
Okay. Well, pretty sure I'm going with UCLA. They were just incredible at the end of the year, and they have that team returning, and I know that for a fact. They have good players returning. That's why they're ranked so high, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like what they did. They did Michigan, where they just pounded it out in defensive battle, and they were able to gain the last possession there at the end, and just keep it away from Michigan. So this is a really good UCLA team, and I think they're definitely. I think they're going to pull it out just a small margin over Villanova.
And there he is. That's what Jaime Jaquez, the Jaime Jaquez Jr. He is I like him a lot. He's a really good player. Tiger Campbell's also still at UCLA. Jules Bernard can play. I love Miles Johnson transfer from Rutgers. So just a couple of guys to mention for UCLA. This team is loaded, and the Bruin. Yeah, Tiger Campbell, like I said, he's a really good player too. UCLA has a great team, but this is going to be an awesome one. Definitely, this is one you want to see. And well, now we speak of the most hated team of UCLA. We speak of USC now. USC, this starting Saturday's slate of games. USC on the road against Temple. Don't know much about Temple. USC no longer has Evan Mobley. This team still is a solid team. I think they have enough to beat. They'll beat Temple, I think, pretty decently. USC obviously is mostly a football program, but even that has been, well, far from what they used to be for a while. But this is a good basketball team. They have a solid squad. I think they knock off Temple here on the road.
Yeah, this could be an interesting game. It's in Temple. It's on the East Coast. This is literally an opposite coast game. Philadelphia on the Atlantic coast, USC on the Pacific coast. Probably a long drive. Flight. I don't think they would drive. But USC they'll have enough time to come play at Temple, and that should be a victory for USC.
Yeah, Sam's got football on the mind, watching the Bears and the Steelers, which is somehow still a 1 point lead for the Bears. I don't know what the Steelers are doing right now. Yeah, well, we'll see if they take the lead here, which it looks like they will. All right, and we now move on to the next game. We only got a couple. I think we only got like 4 left here, but we start with the next one, which is UCF. Yes, this is now we have UCF. This is the team I was talking about earlier. But UCF on the road against
the other night.
Yes, the other Knights. UCF on the road against Miami, Florida. This should be a competitive game, honestly. UCF, I don't think they have much of anything left anymore. Miami, Florida, this is not really a basketball team. I don't think either of these teams really have much of anything. I'm going to go with the home team. I'll take Miami, Florida in this one just because they're the home team. As I said, don't really know much about either squad, but I think the Hurricanes can take a home game over UCF.
I think UCF over UCF. They're both Florida teams. Far travel. Yeah, pretty even match, so I'm going to go with UCF.
And that's fair. And we go to the next one, which is the Georgia Bulldogs on the road against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati had some really good seasons for basketball. Georgia, they really don't. The last player they really had was Anthony Edwards. And Severe Wheeler has transferred out. He is now at Kentucky after considering the Wolverines. Um, this Georgia team, it's really not good. Cincinnati, they haven't really been the same for the past few years, but I still have Cincinnati in the home game against Georgia. This is not Georgia football. This is Georgia basketball. Very, very big difference there. I think Cincinnati gets it done. If this was football, this would be a different story. Even though they're 1-2.
1-2 in the AP poll.
It would.
This is a good game in football, obviously.
Maybe.
Surviving. That doesn't work against Georgia, especially football. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. There's the home team. Georgia, not that great basketball. Cincinnati, they can be all right at basketball. I believe is Chris Mack coach.
No, Chris Mack is the coach at Louisville.
Well, somewhere area, I knew that.
Yep, which is the other big time matchup of this week, which is the Texas Longhorns, number 5 in the country, on the road against the number 1 team in the land, Gonzaga. Gonzaga came up just short of a national championship appearance, or never mind, I'm sorry. They got to the national championship and got swamped by Baylor. They just barely knocked off number 2 in the country, UCLA. That was an incredible game. Me and Sam were watching that one. That was a very fun game to watch. Overtime game. Jalen Suggs hitting the half court shot. Definitely one to remember. But here's another game that can very much be remembered for a while. And, Texas, this is a very good Texas team, but I think it's going to take time for this Longhorn team to be what it can be because they have 6 or 7 transfers coming into their team. And grant you, they are all incredible transfers, starting with Marcus Carr out of Minnesota. We all know how good Marcus Carr is. I think he'll be great for the Texas Longhorns. And they still have a couple guys returning this year for Texas. And obviously, Chris Beard is a very good head coach as well, who is now the new Longhorn head coach. So as good as this Texas team is, it's going to take some time for this team to mold, for this team to get some chemistry, and to have this early of a big time matchup against a team like Gonzaga is not ideal for Texas. I think Gonzaga wins this one especially at home. I think Gonzaga wins this one.
Sorry.
This isn't football.
But this is an even better Gonzaga team. They one of the best 4 combinations. Oh, 2 seconds left in that game. Looks like the Bears have to get a Hail Mary attempt at about the 50-yard line. But Texas and Georgia, what in the world? Gonzaga. I think it should this should go Gonzaga's way. They're gonna be playing with a vengeance this year. I don't think they'll have a perfect season. I don't think they'll have a perfect season up to um, the NCAA tournament again. But I think they're definitely gonna play with a chip on the shoulder. Lots of big contests for them coming up early in the year. Jairo Santos is attempting a 65-yard.
Yeah, Bears are attempting a 65-yarder.
Oh, it's on the way.
And
it is off the
off the crossbar. No good. Just short. No Justin Tucker crossbar luck there.
Longer and longer field goals go on. And that's not easy to do at Heinz Field either. You've seen a lot of kickers have trouble there, even Justin Tucker at times. But Gonzaga, get back to the point. Gonzaga has they got Texas, Duke, UCLA, and Alabama. All of those are at home though, so that is really playing in their favor.
Well, some of them are neutral site games.
Oh, okay, that's what it says versus. Okay. Okay. I know that's. Yeah, that game. UCLA is in Vegas. Okay. I got you. But not too far away. They'll have difficulties for sure, and they might lose one game, maybe two, but I think for sure one game. But it's not going to be at Texas. So I'm going with Gonzaga.
Wow, I thought that hit the crossbar. That wasn't even close to hitting the crossbar. Okay, never mind. Santos, he had on the line. He doesn't miss it by half a mile. So we now end with the final game of this week for college basketball, which will be on Sunday, which is a big-time rivalry in football and in basketball, with the Florida State Seminoles on the road against the Florida Gators. Florida State just continues to surprise everyone every single year. They continue to have really, really solid players. And Leonard Hamilton does a great head coach. He continues to produce players that keep going to the NBA and I mean, having fantastic having nice careers. I mean, Jonathan Isaac. I don't think Dwayne Bacon's in the league anymore, but Scotty Barnes. Obviously, that's another great player. Just a lot of Florida State kids who have made it to the NBA and have made a name for themselves. And I mean, just like I said, Scotty Barnes the latest. And Florida, this is obviously a big basketball program, the Florida Gators, known for their basketball. This should be a fun one. I think this is more of a flip a coin game. Florida State, great basketball team. Florida always tends to have a great basketball team. I don't really know if Keyshawn Johnson is coming, or is it Keyshawn Johnson? I don't know if Keyshawn Johnson is coming back from after the last time he played Florida State and, of course, collapsed on the field. He has been working back since then. We all wish the greatest to him, but I'll take the Seminoles in this one. I think, like I said, I think this is flip a coin, but I think Florida State just barely has the edge on the Gators, so I'll take the Seminoles to win this one.
And to win this one, I don't know. I mean, he does do a good job in Tallahassee. Sorry, my leg where Florida State is, but Mike White also does a pretty good job at Florida as well.
Yes, he does.
Teams, these are most likely tournament teams come March. This is a good preview of what their seasons are going to look like. A good showdown to start the year. I think Florida has the edge at home. Then we go Florida.
All right. And that is it for me and Sam. Thank you all for listening. This is the first week of college basketball picks. Soon we will have, as I said earlier, we'll have NCAA football picks, the reaction from will be the latest college football playoff rankings. Not that anyone really wants to hear, but it's the new rankings. We gotta react to it, whether we like it or not. Then we have NFL rankings or not NFL rankings, NFL picks for the week as well. And Thursday, we are planning on recording NFL midseason reviews. Now, unfortunately, since it's taken us so long to get around to NCAA football midseason reviews, we're not going to have midseason reviews for NCAA football because at this point, when we actually do it, there'll be like 3 games left. There's really no point. So, unfortunately, we are not going to be doing NCAA football midseason reviews, but we will be doing that for the NFL come Thursday. So, thank you all for listening. Until next time, adios, everybody.